people struggle. And when the economy turns like it's gonna, you could be the one ahead because you're gonna have to find the good when the whole world is finding what's wrong. Know the product you have, the service you have, the love that you have, the person you are. If you know it's authentic, it's real, it's the best on the planet, then you have to do everything in your power to get people to take action. You have to practice and work hard when no one else is watching, like watching or listening to this podcast, reading my book, Millionaire Success Habits, getting some of our courses. Today, I want to go over 3 simple habits that you need to implement in your life if you want the level of life that you crave. We all want the overnight magic. That feels great to say it, but it doesn't exist. This is what exists. So I have 3 habits for you. Find the good. Now, find the good. What does that have to do with making more money? Here's why. I know unsuccessful people figure out what's wrong with the world, figure out why people are holding them back, figure out why the advice they got is bad, figure out why the president is bad or the economy is bad or where they live is bad. And it's like our subconscious is designed for that. So I want to just throw that away. I want to give you a new rule. Like, you've heard this before, but maybe right now is the first time you ever really heard it and you decide to implement it in your life if you want that life you crave. So find the good. You see, it's really easy to find what's wrong with the world. We know that. It's really easy to find what's wrong with the people around you. But what if you shifted that framework and your obsession was to find what's right, to find what's good, to look for the good in people rather than the bad, to look for the good in the marketing strategies that you're working on, look for the good in your family, even though they're a pain in the ass sometimes, but they're trying to protect you. As simple as that little shift sounds, you're like, oh, Dean, I thought you were going to tell me how to make money. I am telling you how to make money, and I'm telling you how to be happy, and I'm telling you how to thrive when other people struggle. And when the economy turns like it's gonna, you could be the one ahead because you're gonna have to find the good when the whole world is finding what's wrong. So, one simple hack today, this week, obsess on looking for the good. Number 2, don't blame. Now, we are a society of, and I'm right in there with you. I'm not saying, oh, look at you and not me, but we're a society of finding blame. And whose fault is it? And blaming those people around us and blaming our circumstances and blaming our parents and blaming where we were brought up and blaming our girlfriend, our boyfriend, our husband, our wife for not supporting us. We find a way to blame and we don't do one thing enough. We don't look in the mirror enough and take full responsibility for our lives. So I'm going to encourage you as the second thing, the second habit to incorporate into your life, start looking in the mirror. Don't blame other people. Blame ourselves, but in a positive way. Like, blame ourselves. Take ownership of your success, ownership of your failure. Realize that what if everything was designed for you to go through? All the shit you had to deal with, all the things that went wrong, all the people that let you down, the circumstances growing up. What if it was all designed to make you the perfect version of you? The person that would be listening to a podcast like this, the person that's ready to go to another level. And what if just today, you heard this before, but today you said, wow, this maze of my life was designed for me because I'm here today. I'm taking ownership. I'm not blaming anybody else. Here's the cool part about not blaming anybody else. You can't imagine the stress that goes off you. It's all on me. My company does great. It's on me. I get to celebrate. If it goes bad, it's on me. I can't celebrate when it goes right and blame other people when it goes wrong. I got to take full responsibility for all of it. And the pressure, the stress that goes away is unbelievable. The third thing, I want you to listen for clues. What does that mean? Listen for clues. You see, you know the saying, success leaves clues. That was Jim Rohn said it and taught Tony Robbins, and Tony Robbins pushes it. But it does, because here's what I know. Our subconscious wants to lean back towards the clues of why it didn't work. See, I knew that wouldn't work, and you're not smart enough, and you didn't go to school for that. Or, see, your parents told you should have taken that job. So we subconsciously look for clues of failure. But what if you shifted that and listened for the clues, watched for the clues? That success does leave clues all over the place. It leaves clues in other people, right? Obsess on, if you want to be in the fitness world, find somebody doing amazing in the fitness world, making great money, has a good life, and really doing it, and look for the clues that they leave behind. They're like breadcrumbs. The clues are everywhere. If you want to be in real estate, you can model me and some of the things I've done. If you want to be in sales or write books, you should model me. Nobody's done that at a higher level than me. If you want to learn how to, do anything in life, there are successful people out there leaving breadcrumbs all over the place if you just look. So find a mentor, find a mastermind, find a coaching program, immerse yourself in where the clues are being most likely left. But here's the biggest one. Look for the clues in your own life. There are things you're doing right now that you're not paying attention to that give you massive success. Maybe you're in great shape. Look for the clues. Maybe you have a great relationship and intimacy through the roof. Look for clues. Maybe your business is crushing. Look for clues. Take those clues from different areas because it's all the same and borrow them for the areas that aren't working in your life. You got a great relationship? What do? What are the clues of success that you have in that relationship? And how do you adopt them or adapt them into your business life? Starting the company, scaling the company. Success absolutely leaves clues, but you have to listen for them. You have to be aware of them. Don't let your subconscious grab what's wrong. Grab the clues on what's right. There's 3 simple little strategies, little hacks, little habits that you can incorporate in your life that will make all the difference. Remember, we do go upstream here. This isn't about, push this button, get rich overnight. I want you guys to have the foundation for lifelong happiness, joy, abundance, and all the rest. If you know anything about me, you know that I believe selling is the oxygen for every business, for everything in life, everything that you want. If you don't persuade people to take the steps you want, the actions you want, buy the product you have, fall in love with you, all those pieces, you just dream and hope, but nothing actually happens. But I want you to look at selling different today. I want you to first start off with, if you know the product you have, the service you have, the love that you have, the person you are, if you know it's authentic, it's real, it's the best on the planet, then you have to do everything in your power to get people to take action. I say this all the time, but the movie Field of Dreams with Kevin Costner years ago, they said, if you build it, they will come. They won't come. They just won't. There's outliers that every once in a while somebody builds something and it goes viral. But most of the time when you see a product that's working, you see someone who's evolving through a company, has a great relationship, it's because they know how to be persuasive, they know how to sell. But I want to teach you 2 things today. There are emotional buyers and there are logical buyers. And if you are just attracting one or the other, then you're doing everyone a disservice. So think about an emotional purchase. If you ever watched an infomercial, if you ever bought that tiny little hose that is like this big, it's a tiny, it can fit in your hand, and when you plug it in and you screw it on, you turn the water on, it gets 50 feet long, right? When you see something like that, you make an emotional decision. You got 2 minutes, like that hose looks great, and you buy it. That's an extreme example, and maybe it sits in your garage, you never use it. I guarantee there are things in your life you bought making an emotional decision. That's okay. We need emotions to move us forward. So some people are not, I don't want to say this in a bad way, but some people are irrational buyers. I'm an irrational buyer. From the top looking down, when I see something I like, if I go buy a new car, if I walk on the dealership, I see the car I like, I want to leave there in 25 minutes with that car. I'm irrational. I'm emotional. If I'm watching a video online or I'm at a live event and I see something I like, I'm not waiting to research. My heart tells me it's good. My gut instinct tells me I'm good. I'm buying it. So I am an emotional, irrational buyer, but that's only a small percent of the world. Then I'm on the extreme of, I'll do it right now. I make quick decisions. On the complete other extreme are buyers who have to be extremely logical. That means if this sounds good, this car looks good, but I'm going to go home, I'm going to research it, I'm going to ask anybody I know if they have a car like that. I'm going to go check the rating. I'm going to see how many miles per gallon it gets. I'm going to see if there's any flaws, is there any recalls? And some people will just do that logical searching all the way. So that's the extreme. So what I want to share with you today is when you're selling anything, when you're persuading someone, it doesn't matter, again, if it's getting a promotion from your boss, it's making more money, it's selling your product or service, I want you to think of attracting and fulfilling both of them. You need to get people emotional. People don't make decisions without being emotional, be connected, feel moved, have a feeling inside. But then if you cover the logical part, for those that want to overthink, then you can really compound and exponentially grow your sales. So for example, this past weekend I was at an event and I spoke on stage and I offered a $16,000 mastermind. Incredible training, worth every dime. There were the irrational, emotional buyers like me who took action immediately. I would have taken action halfway through the presentation. But then there were some people who waited until the second day. And some people that are very logical waited until the third day, last minute, right before they walked out the door. And the sales were about equal, the emotional and the logical. But here's the thing I want you to be careful of. In your own life, make sure you don't get so logical and need every I dotted and every T crossed that you never make a decision. You never pull the trigger. Every year, like I'm gonna, I should have, I would have. It's because you probably have beliefs from parents, beliefs from teachers that you need to research, that you need to look before you leap. I have the thoughts of jump out of the plane, grow wings on the way down, because he who hesitates loses. So 2 things I want to share. If you're selling, if you want to fuel your company, your life, you want to persuade people, remember, some people make emotional, some people make logical decisions. Merge the 2 together, sales will increase. In your own life, don't get so logical that you missed out on amazing opportunities. Both of them, my son plays baseball, my daughter plays softball. They both pitch. They're both really good. Not because they're my kids, they excel at it. But one thing I've been telling them forever, if you saw my kids, if you ever see me at a live event or I'm anywhere with my kids, just test me on this and say to my kids, hey, how do you win? They'll say 2 things, practice and hard work, and you win when no one's watching. And here's the thing. My daughter loves the praise of winning a game. She loves when she pitches. She has the ball in her hand when everybody's cheering for her. But that doesn't happen at the game. That doesn't happen in public. The reason she's good is because she practices her guts out when no one's watching. I want to give you a quick little story. It doesn't matter if you're a parent or not. Listen, the reason I teach my kids this, the reason I teach you guys this, is because I want it anchored into my life forever. I mean, everybody wants the praise of the win. Everybody wants the winning business. Everybody wants the winning relationship. Everybody wants the winning income. They want to win the sports game. But not everybody's willing to put the time in to work when no one else is watching. So for example, my daughter last night, as I'm recording this, it was last night, she played in the championship game from 11 to 13-year-old girls fast pitch softball. And they weren't even supposed to be in the finals, but they beat everybody, and now they're playing the number 1 team who is undefeated. And the only way they could take first place is to win twice. So they wouldn't even play the championship game if they didn't win the first one. So there's 2 pitchers on my daughter's team. The other girl's amazing too, great athlete. She's a year older than my daughter. She pitches first, then my daughter goes in. And my daughter had the game of her life. She did not give up 1 run against the undefeated team. I mean, she threw strike after strike, and all her friends came and seen her, and all her friends were saying, oh my God, Bree, you're so amazing. You're so lucky to be that good. And I started hearing these girls, they weren't doing it for to be disrespectful, but that's how the world is. I heard lucky or blessed or gifted. She's not gifted. My daughter wasn't. My daughter's short for her age. My daughter did amazing last night and got the praise is because she won the game when no one else was watching. I go home 4 nights a week early because she wants to throw the ball and I want to be there and encourage her. She's practicing literally almost every single day. She could go hang out with friends. She could play video games. She could do something else, but she likes to win. And she practices when no one else is watching. In fact, in my office, in my studio, where I hold my masterminds, it's big enough. And I'm gonna literally, because summers in Phoenix are really crazy, it's hot as hell. I'm putting in a place for her to pitch in the office because she said, I don't wanna lose momentum over the summer, Dad. I wanna come back even better. Now, that's an amazing lesson I taught, and I hope that rubs off on her. I'm using sports as this foundation for her life. But let me ask you, do you want the glory? It's like wanting to be the rock star. You want to be up on stage jamming and singing and the crowd going nuts and the girls going crazy or the guys going crazy. You want all that. But how do you think those people got on stage? Do you think they rehearsed when no one is watching? Do you think they packed up a crappy old van in some cases and went to a club where no one showed up, no one's watching, but they still played, they still pursued? If you want to win the game of life, whatever it is you want, that next level of relationship, income, doing your own business, you have to practice and work hard when no one else is watching, like watching or listening to this podcast, reading my book, Millionaire Success Habits, getting some of our courses, or modeling and following. Hey, listen, I have a lot of mentors. Model and follow other mentors that are playing the game at the highest level possible. But there is a lot of work. There is a lot of time that goes in when you don't get the glory. When no one sees the blood, sweat, and tears. No one sees the sleepless nights. No one sees the anxiety when you wake up in the middle of the night not knowing if it's going to work. No one sees that you're scared shitless, that you're going to go from a job to doing your own thing. And here's the other part. I remember in my own life when I started getting success, I was working my guts out. I was working on cars during the day. I was working at real estate at night. And then before I did my first education course, I was doing cars during the day, real estate at night, and setting the alarm at 5 in the morning. From 5 to 9 in the morning, I'd work on trying to figure out how to write a course on how to do what I did in my life and how to be successful. I was so confused. I did all that. And guess what? I did that for years. For years, I'm just being honest. I put in lots and lots of hours. I had fun. I enjoyed myself. I played hard too. But I put in a lot of time. But then when it finally hit and I got a little momentum, do you know, I heard a lot of my friends say, "Oh, you lucky bastard." In fact, I had a joke for a while. It made me think. I had a joke for a while that when I try something new that's out of the norm, which most people wouldn't try, people either say, "Oh, Dean got lucky, you lucky bastard," or if I tried and failed, it's like, "I knew that idiot wouldn't make it." There's nothing in between. And you know what? Awesome. Screw it. I don't care. I don't dislike my friends who said all that stuff. I'm still friends with them, some of them since 5th grade. But they're going to look through life through a lens of they're satisfied with okay. They're satisfied making okay money. They're satisfied with okay relationship. They're satisfied with being an okay parent. They're satisfied with an okay career that doesn't light them up. Screw that. I'm not satisfied with. I'd rather fail miserably. If I look back on my deathbed, would you too, let me ask you, would you let him look back on your deathbed and be like, "Hey, you know what? Played it safe, didn't go after anything, but I lived an okay life." Fuck that. Excuse my language. I felt like saying it and I said it. And if you have someone younger listen, I'm sorry, I feel bad now. But that's the emotion I feel. And if you're listening to me, if you're listening to my podcast, then you feel the same way. And what I'd encourage you to do is don't try to change those that don't want to change. And those that do want to change, don't try to sell them yourself. Send them here. Send them this podcast. Send them to my Instagram. Send them to somebody else that can help inspire them. So maybe they could see there's a better, bigger version of them waiting. Listen, life is short. It's going by a gazillion miles an hour. We got one shot at this. We might as well squeeze every bit of juice out of life we possibly can. So, with that said, the lesson I taught my daughter, my son too, I could have a great story to him, but I love keeping these around 7-8 minutes so you can get some wisdom, get some, and go out and take action with it. Winners win when no one else is watching. How many foul shots do you think Michael Jordan took when no one else was in the gym, right? How many shots did Wayne Gretzky take when no one else was on the ice, right? How many times has LeBron James practiced and woke up sore and couldn't move that no one else sees? Yes, he gets the glory. Everybody goes nuts. Me and Tony every year invites me to the finals, and I'm blessed. I'm not even gonna say I got it. Tony gets the half court on the floor seats. Tony Robbins, those seats are probably 40 grand each. I don't even know. Invites me every year. I sit there. I watch LeBron James play 3 or 4 times now. It's unbelievable. And he gets the praise and the audience I watched Cleveland go insane when they won. But guess what? He did that when no one else is watching. You don't get the glory. My daughter last night, everybody praised her. They won the first game. They lost the second one in the last inning. I was so disappointed. But they won the first game. I watched everybody high-fiving her. She loved it. But if she didn't practice, she wouldn't get any of that. So remember that. Doing this work, listening to this, watching this, going through my courses, other people who are playing the game, you're doing the work when no one else is watching. And when you soar, let them admire you, let them envy you. In fact, be the inspiration to pull some people with you.
So that was a 42-hour audiobook?
42 hours. It was called Washington the Life. Ron Chernow. It's the first 42-hour book I've listened to in my whole life, from start to finish. Babe, was I not losing my mind over that book?
Baby, you're crying.
I cried. I got so emotionally attached to the book because I watched what humble power truly means. Here's a guy who that was completely an underdog, right? Wasn't born in England, so when America was under British rule, the strongest power in the world at the time, with the strongest army in the world, right? Since he wasn't born in England, he was born in America. He was kind of looked down on. Like, he got paid, even though he became a soldier in the army and a higher ranking soldier in the British Army, you know, he got paid half. When they came and they'd have closed door meetings, even though he ranked the same as the men in the British Army, they wouldn't even let him in the room. Like, he's American born. He doesn't come from royalty. He doesn't have any money. Yeah, George Washington, he's a hustler, but leave him out in the other room. Pay him half. Don't give him the respect. Give him the worst jobs. Give him the worst troops. Let's just see if he could do. And what this guy did is took that underdog disadvantage that most of us feel and turned it into an underdog advantage. Like, he's like, you don't respect me? Let me show you who I am. I'm not going to talk about it. I'm not going to be flashy. I'm not going to bark and scream and say I demand respect. The guy just went out and freaking owned respect. He took a ragtag army, and we know the 5th grade version of the war, but you don't know the guy behind the scenes when his troops had no shoes and no food and they were deserting. And this is a guy that got on his horse and rode out in the front of the freaking battle when the British soldiers would stay up on the hill and watch. He was in the front of that. He had like 5 horses shot out from underneath. 3 hats had holes in them. He literally has jackets with holes in the front and the back. The Indians thought he was some magical man because he didn't get killed. My whole point is, this guy, newly married, gives up and starts fighting the Revolutionary War because of passion, because of a mission, because of a movement. He wanted freedom, not because he wanted a pat on the back, not because of the glory. And he gave up 8 years of his life to fight the war, even though he was a newlywed, and he desired going back to his farm in Virginia. And then when he's done, he's like, oh my God, this war is finally over. I mean, you understand, picture one part of the war where he's in New York with 7,500 people, soldiers, call them soldiers. They're 15-year-old kids to 70-year-old men. They don't have shoes. They're out of gunpowder. They barely have guns. They don't even know how to shoot. And the strongest army in the world, the King of England, sends over 35,000 troops, plus the Hessians, which were hired guns from Germany. They were ruthless. They'd rather bayonet you in the head than to take you as a captive. And they do it for fun. I mean, these were ruthless people. I think it was King Louis. Sends over 35,000 men and says, shut these ragtag Americans up. You let them know who the boss is. Shut them up fast. Shut them up hard. And stop this whole thought of revolution. Just picture, they're in, and this army comes over, 7,500 Americans, 35,000 Hessians and British soldiers, dressed perfectly, the perfect guns, went to school for it. They come over and kick George Washington's ass. They take Manhattan, they take Brooklyn, they take Long Island, they take Staten Island, they even took New Jersey. Like, if you don't know the end, you're like, it's done, it's over. 3,000 of them are killed, another 1,000 run. They're like, I'm done. The British government, the British army said, hey, come to our side and we'll pardon you and we'll feed you. So a lot of them are like, hey, I'm just going to go with the winners. So now this guy's, George Washington, his ragtag army are running through New Jersey trying to not get killed after they lost everything. And you think it's over. Done deal. But this guy's passion, this guy's desire, and I know I'm all over the place with this, but I want to get to a point. This guy's passion, this desire, he doesn't give up. He doesn't look at a disadvantage. He doesn't even give a chance. I mean, this is when he attacks on Christmas Eve night. It's when he crossed the Delaware, when it was the coldest winter on record. Icebergs. He crosses 4,000 men across the Delaware River, and he writes down and underlines it, freedom or death. It's like that. It's either death or liberty. I'm sorry, I don't know exactly, but like, he writes this empowering word that I get goosebumps, I get tears in my eyes, and he burned the boats. Like, I talk about it a lot. You want to win the island, you burn the boats. You don't give yourself an option. There was no option. It was death or freedom for him. That's how, I mean, if we could take a glimpse of that in our own life, a glimpse of that with our business, a glimpse of that with parenting, passionate relationships, we could be in a whole different place. Anyway, I get excited over this. He crosses on Christmas Day night, like, gets done crossing the Delaware, 4,000 men, gets done crossing 4 o'clock in the morning. The Hessians think there's no way this guy's got the nerve to attack us, especially not on Christmas Day. The troops run the Hessians, the ones that just got done bayoneting 1,000 people, killing all the captives, bragging about it, ruthless, spreading blood on their face and calling the Americans nothing but ragtag, peasants. And George Washington's men kicked their ass in like 45 minutes. It's over. take out 4,000, 5,000 Hessians. Then they go up to Princeton, take out another one, and literally, you know the rest. It was the start of the shift of the Revolutionary War. Every single time you think there's no way, they find a way to win. This guy spends 8 years, they finally win the war. They get done winning the war. He goes back to Virginia, and he's like, I can finally relax. They say you can't relax. You're the person that helped free this country. And he gets elected unanimously as the first president of the United States. After a few years of being president, he wants to retire, go back to his farm, and they say, you can't. We need you in a second term. There's too much turmoil. We need you. He leaves Mount Vernon, his farm in Virginia, again for a second term when he doesn't want to. This one, people die at 40. He's 67 years old. He's got to go horseback. This guy sacrifices everything. Does a second term and puts America on track to be the freest, most incredible country in the world. I don't care where you live. I'm sure you love where you live. You got to admit America's an amazing place where my grandfather can come here as an immigrant with nothing and I can live the life I want. I'm with free, with being choices, with nobody telling us what to do, with fair and just laws, all of it. Now, I say that because when I think of selfless, when I think of humble power, when I think of who we idolize, I want to idolize George Washington. So anyway, if you get anything from that, or anything from my heart, a lot of it is look through the eyes of my children. Who do I want them to admire? Who do I want them to look up to? It makes me want to be a better human being because my children won't do what I say. They'll become who I am. And I just want to be a better version of me, and things like that really change. So who are you idolizing? Who are you looking up to? Maybe you can find someone new. Forgiveness is one of those things that no one would ever consider as being a success habit. Nevertheless, a millionaire success habit. What the hell does forgiveness have to do with it? It's too foo-foo. I want the tactical money-making stuff, right? I want to get to the nitty-gritty, but here's what I know. There's only a certain amount of time in a day. There's only a certain amount of energy in a day. And not even just time and energy, the clarity of creative thinking compared to the clarity of busy thinking. Listen, you might have time, you're squeezing it in to think about your bigger future, your bigger business, making more money. But if you don't have clarity in those thoughts, if your heart isn't open, then the universe, God, whatever you believe in, the marketing geniuses, the marketing inspiration doesn't funnel down into the top of your head and come out of your mouth. And without marketing and creativity, then what do you have? Without the planning to follow through, without the stamina to get over the hurdles when shit goes sideways, what do you have? You have a good idea. Everybody's got a good idea. You're listening to me right now, not just because you want some magic money machine. You want the foundation for wealth and sustainability and success. If I'm wrong, then I apologize. Maybe you're looking for the quick hit, but how long does that work? Even people who hit the lotto go broke on average, right? So what the heck does forgiveness have to do with success? Everything. I think forgiveness is one of the most underutilized, not just words, but things in our world, in our ability to grow as a human. I want to give you an example. The reason this is on top of my head is my son, who just 2 nights ago when I'm recording this, won the state championship for their 10-year-old division of baseball, which was so awesome. So watching him, he did great. They did awesome. But I want to back up. My son has been on the same team since he was 4 years old. The same coach. Love this guy. He's one of the greatest guys. His wife is amazing. He's amazing. Loves kids. And they play twice a year, so they pretty much play all year round. He coaches the all-star team too, so he plays spring ball, fall ball, and summer all-star. So he's pretty much with this guy all year round. And he's got a son named Dean, same name as me. And I love Dean. I always tease him. I said, that's my name. I had it first. You're Bob. So when I get there, he's always like, no, you're Bob. But in the last 6 months, Dean's changed. Dean has been mean. He's been a bully. And especially to my son, Brody. And I think it's a competitive thing. Dean is good, Brody's better. Brody's bats first Brody's 9 on the 10, 11-year-old team, and he still bats first, probably the best average on base of anybody on the team. Not because he's my son, he's just good. He's small, but he's good, and he's a hustler. But in the last 6 months, Dean has been really tough on Brody. So I don't want to just solve this for my son. I want him to figure it out on his own. So I keep saying, hey, you got to stand up for yourself. I say, hey, how does that make you feel? Make sure you realize that that's his opinion. That's not who you are. Like all the stuff fundamentally out of the book, doing it right, trying to empower my son because I'm not going to always be there to protect him, right? Well,
the last All-Star game, as we were building up to we had the semifinals, my son gets up, goes 4 for 4. In the dugout, Dean comes up to my son because Dean is sitting. There's only one person sitting. My son is smaller than him. My son is younger than him, and his dad is the coach, and he's sitting the bench. He comes up to my son. He says, "You suck at hitting, and you're dumb." And my son said, "You're dumb for saying that." I asked him exactly what he said, and Dean smacked my son in the face. Well, Brody comes out of my son's Brody. Brody comes out of the dugout with a tear in his eye and his face red. I said, "What happened?" He said, "Dean just smacked me." And listen, if you're a parent, you know exactly what happened. The hair on the back of my neck stood up, and I wanted to go kick a 10-year-old's ass. I just be honest. Like, I wanted to go in there and choke him and say, "Did you lay a hand on my son?" I did walk up to him, and I said, I wanted to know if it was, I said, "Did you just hit my son?" And he didn't say that. I said, "Did you just hit my son?" He said, "Yes." I said, "Okay." I said, "Go apologize to him." That's all I said. I went up and talked to his mom. I was furious. I was shaking on the inside because I know what my emotions want to do. I knew it was right. So why am I telling you this whole story? Well, how does it relate to you? I promise you it does. So I went home that night, and I was so mad, so upset. But I had the chance to teach a lesson to Brody. And I hated the feeling I had. I was mad at Mike, who's the greatest guy in the world, the greatest dad. His son's going through something. Somebody's probably picking on Dean. And we found out that's true. So I emailed Mike. I said, "Mike, you're a great coach. We love your family, but it's unacceptable that your son put his hand on my son. It's been 6 months. I've been trying to get Brody to stand up for himself. Brody will play the All-Star game, and then we're out. We're done." Mike replied back as the good man he is and said, "I'm embarrassed as a coach, and I failed as a father. I should have seen this. I should have known. I wish I knew sooner." And he dug in, and he got it. So why am I telling you? Because that night, I sat with my son, and I didn't like the way it felt to have anger. I didn't like the way it felt to be mad. And I said, "Buddy, the greatest word I know, I wish I knew it sooner, is forgiveness. Dean's been a good kid. Mike's an amazing dad. What if we just forgave them? What if we gave them a second chance? What if you want to forgive them, I'd like you to stay on the team, but it's totally up to you." He goes, "No, Mike's been good to me. I want to stay on the team. Let's forgive them." Kind of paraphrasing our conversation. So I email Mike. We go back to the practice. Mike, the coach, walks up to me with his head down, literally with a tear in his eye. And he said, "Your son," and I'm not saying this because my boy, but he said, "My son's the sweetest boy you've ever met in your life. Sweet voice. He's not aggressive. He might not make it in high school baseball because he's so not aggressive. He's sweet. He's just kind." And Mike says to me, "I'm not just saying this. Your son is my favorite kid I've coached in 10 years. Your son is the reason I coach. I love that kid. My son writes the coach thank you notes. That's my son. He busts my chops sometimes, but he's amazing to everybody else." So Mike comes up, and I said, "Mike, how about this? It's past. It's behind us. Hopefully Dean can learn from it. We appreciate everything you've done, and we really love you guys. Thank you, and let's move on from here. Let's get to practice." And he had a tear in his eye, and he was like, I don't understand. If that was my son and someone did that to my son, I couldn't even look at me. I'd want to fight me." He's like, I wish I could let go of things like that." He goes, he pulled his hat off because I'm probably bald because I worry about all the stuff people have done to me. I said, "I promise you, I'm not just saying that. That's our family. We're done. Forgiveness has happened." Brody goes out. I could cry. Now I could have tears in my eyes. Brody goes out and grabs Dean and says, "Hey, let's play catch." I look out. These two, Dean is so sorry that he's out there playing with Brody. He said, "Good catch, Brody. I'm so awesome, Brody. I can't wait to watch you hit today, Brody. You're going to crush it today, Brody." My son was smiling from ear to ear. Mike wipes the tears from his eyes, shakes my hand. He's like, "You're a good man. You're a good man." I'm like, "I'm not a good man. Just something simple. Forgiveness." It's gone for me. It's gone for my son. He learned the lesson of a lifetime. My dad couldn't have forgiveness. My dad, his father abused him. He took advantage of him. His family abused him. So he never forgave anybody, and he lived with anger his whole life. That's probably why I'm the opposite. So how does that relate to you? Why am I doing this training on forgiveness? Because if you have somebody in your life who took advantage of you, I'm sorry. Someone who cheated, stole from you, lied to you, ruined something, ruined a partnership, caused you to go bankrupt, caused you to lose a job. It sucks, but guess what? If you haven't forgiven them, it's only hurting you because there's only so much time, effort, and energy in a day.
And if you're using that even with a fraction of what went wrong, why they did it, whose fault it is, then you don't have enough to compete in today's world. This is a competitive world. You need all your energy, all your juices, all your focus, all your enthusiasm focused on where you want to go, not something somebody did to you. You can't undo it. So you might as well forgive. That's hard for a lot of you because some of you are thinking some pretty horrific things right now. You got to forgive them too. Doesn't mean you have to forget. Doesn't mean you have to go be their best friend. But forgiveness will set you free. Forgiveness will take you to the next level of life, abundance, joy, and wealth. Listen, you listen to me not to get the magic money machine. I love teaching people how to make money with real estate and other ways. But if you don't go upstream and fix this shit, it's unsustainable, if that's even a word. So that's my message for today. Forgive. Appreciate you guys.
What's up? What's up? Hey, before you go, you need to watch these next few videos. They're absolute game changers. Hurry up and click right over here and watch them, and I'll see you there.